I helped a disabled neighbor with groceries while his brother watched from the porch. Days later, I was sued for harassment and shamed online. My job was at risk until I rewatched my doorbell cam footage and saw who really planted that evidence. I live in a suburb just west of Fort Worth, Texas. Been here a little over 5 years. After my divorce, I just wanted a quiet place to rebuild. I work in IT, mostly remote. I don't bother anyone. I keep my yard clean, wave to the neighbors, but I'm not the kind of guy who goes around trying to make friends. It's not that I'm unfriendly, I just like keeping to myself. My neighborhood's one of those places where you still get the occasional pie from someone at Christmas, but it's mostly retirees, working folks, and people who've lived here forever. It's calm. Or at least, it used to be. Across the street from me lives Donnie. He's around my age, maybe a few years older. He had a stroke about 3 years back, from what the other neighbors said, and now he uses a wheelchair. Doesn't talk much, but always polite when you see him. Gives a little wave, sometimes says hi if he's rolling by. Seemed like a good guy. He lives with his brother, Greg. And Greg, man, I knew the moment I saw him that something was off. Late 50s maybe, beer gut. Always on the porch in a folding chair with a cigarette or a Bud Light. Every damn day. Doesn't talk. Doesn't smile. Just sits and watches people. You know the type, mean-looking without even trying. First few times I waved, Greg just looked away. Thought maybe he was just grumpy. But over time I realized he never helped Donnie with anything. I'd see Donnie trying to take out the trash, maneuvering down that ramp in the heat, and Greg would be 10 feet away, doing nothing. Not a damn thing. Just sitting and watching like it wasn't his problem. I didn't get involved. Wasn't my place. Until one day it was. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I just wrapped up a client call and I stepped outside for a smoke. I saw Donnie get dropped off by an Uber. He had bags, 2 plastic ones hooked on the side of his chair, one on his lap. He was trying to push himself up the ramp, but the front wheel caught the edge and one of the bags spilled. A can rolled into the street. He was struggling. And Greg? Sitting there, watching it happen. Didn't even shift in his chair. So I walked over. Hey, you need a hand? Donnie looked up, a little embarrassed. If you don't mind, he said. Just the bags. I picked them up, walked with him up the ramp, and followed him inside. Just to the kitchen. Didn't go snooping around, didn't touch anything. Just set the bags on the counter and said, take care. All right? He smiled. Said thanks again. That was it. Greg never said a word. Just stared at me the whole time like I'd pissed in his yard. I didn't think much of it until 3 days later. That Friday, I got a call from HR. Now, I've been with my company almost 10 years. Clean record, good reviews, the whole thing. But they said someone had sent in a complaint and a video. Unwanted contact with a disabled person, they said. Invasion of privacy. Disturbing online content. I thought they had the wrong guy. Then I saw the clip. It was me, walking into Donnie's house. Filmed from a phone, shaky, with captions edited in. Watch this man follow a disabled man into his home. There was dramatic music, slow zoom-ins, even a fake timestamp added. They made it look like I was lurking or something. Worse? The video was online. It had gone semi-viral. Hundreds of comments. People calling me a predator, a stalker. Some genius even tagged my company's Twitter. It was bad. Really bad. The next week, I got a notice from the county clerk. Greg had filed a lawsuit against me. He claimed I had entered their home multiple times without permission, harassed and monitored a vulnerable adult, and posed a threat to community safety. And just like that, I was on unpaid leave. My name was garbage online. My neighbors started giving me weird looks. Even my sister, my own sister, called me and said, "Why would you go into someone's house like that?" I was losing everything. Over a 2-minute act of kindness. But then I remembered something. My doorbell cam. I'd installed it a couple years back after some package thefts in the area. Forgot it was even there most days. But I pulled the footage from that afternoon. There it was, clear as day. Donnie dropping the bags. Me walking over. Helping him. No pressure. No aggression. Just being decent. And Greg? You could see him in the background, sitting on his ass, not moving an inch. Just watching. Then I kept watching. That night, around 2 a.m., the motion sensor picked something up. I almost skipped past it, but something made me pause. It was a figure in a hoodie. Walked right up to my porch. Bent down. Did something under the welcome mat. I zoomed in. It was Greg. Middle of the night. slipping something under my mat like a damn cartoon villain. I went outside, lifted it up, and there it was, an envelope. Inside were screenshots of my Facebook profile, pictures of me, printouts of Reddit comments calling me a predator. Someone had been planning this. Greg didn't just film me. He built a case against me, and I had no idea why. What the hell did I ever do to him? But now, it wasn't about helping Donnie anymore. It was about proving Greg was a liar and making him pay. I brought the footage and the envelope to a lawyer the next day. I'm not rich, but I've got a decent emergency fund, and at this point, I had no choice. My job was still holding me on unpaid leave pending investigation, and I had maybe 2 weeks before they made it permanent. The lawyer, Susan, was sharp. Mid-40s, no bullshit. I laid everything out for her. The doorbell footage, the fake video, the envelope Greg left. She watched it all in silence. Your neighbor's trying to destroy your reputation, she said. But here's the thing. He's left a trail. We filed a counterclaim within a week. Defamation, emotional distress, attempted fraud. We also issued a subpoena for Greg's phone records and online activity, betting that he'd either mess up trying to delete evidence or already had. Then things got ugly. 2 days after the countersuit was filed, someone keyed my car. Deep, deliberate scratches down the passenger side. No note, no witnesses. Then my mailbox was smashed open. I reported both to the cops. I didn't have proof it was Greg, but I knew it was him. Then, Donnie came to my door. I hadn't seen him since the day I helped him. I didn't know what to expect. He rolled up to my porch, looked nervous. Real quiet. I didn't know about the video, he said. I swear. I didn't know what Greg was doing. I invited him in. He looked down the whole time. He said Greg told him I had been watching him through the blinds, that I was obsessed. Greg even showed him fake screenshots of texts that looked like they were from me. All made up. He told me you were dangerous, Donnie said. But I never saw you do anything wrong. He got mad when I didn't want to file a report. That hit me like a punch. Greg had tried to get his own brother to accuse me of harassment. And when that didn't work, he forged a whole online campaign against me. Susan moved fast. We filed for a restraining order against Greg and pushed for digital forensics. I gave Donnie's statement to my company. Finally, someone in HR called and said they were reopening the internal case. But it wasn't over yet. About a week later, I got an alert from my doorbell cam again. This time, it was someone throwing a brick through my window. At 3 a.m., I called the cops. They pulled footage from my camera and the neighbors, and it clearly showed Greg, drunk, stumbling, and furious, smashing my front window and shouting, "You think you're gonna ruin me?" He was arrested that night, charged with vandalism, trespassing, and violating the temporary restraining order. And finally, my job reinstated me. Quietly, no apology, just a cold email that said, "You may resume work." But by then, I didn't want to just get my life back. I wanted Greg to lose everything, and I was just getting started. 2 weeks after Greg's arrest, I got a letter in the mail from a woman named Lorraine. Handwritten, no return address. At first, I thought it was another sick joke, but I opened it anyway. She introduced herself as Greg and Donnie's cousin. Said she used to visit them when they were kids. Said she'd seen the online drama and tracked me down because she recognized Greg's signature tactics. I wasn't sure what that meant until I read the next line. "I believe you. Greg tried to do something similar to me 10 years ago." I read the letter 3 times. She went on to explain how, after their parents died, Greg took control of the family's inheritance. There was supposed to be money for Donnie's care, a trust set up by their father. But Greg convinced Donnie to sign over power of attorney while he was still recovering from his stroke. Greg drained the account. He used the money to buy a used RV, pay off his credit cards, and fund some half-baked investment in a local vape shop. The trust was gone in less than 6 months. Donnie had no clue. Lorraine said she tried to step in, but Greg accused her of trying to steal from the family and filed a restraining order against her. When she tried to fight it in court, he showed up with fabricated emails and witness statements. The judge sided with him. Sound familiar? I brought the letter to Susan. We found Lorraine. She agreed to testify. But that wasn't even the biggest twist. When digital forensics came back from Greg's phone and laptop, it showed he'd created over 20 fake Reddit and Facebook accounts over the last year. He'd been setting people up online for months. Review bombing, posting in community watch groups about imaginary crimes. He even targeted a local teacher who wrote him a parking ticket outside a bar. He had a pattern. We took it all to the DA. Now it wasn't just a defamation case. It was fraud, harassment, elder financial abuse, and cyberstalking. And just when I thought it couldn't go deeper, Donnie called me. Said Greg had skipped town, packed a bag, and disappeared overnight. Left Donnie behind. No warning, no goodbye. But I knew exactly where he went. Remember that RV Lorraine mentioned? It was still registered to Greg. And thanks to a tip from one of Susan's contacts, we found it, parked behind a rundown diner outside Wichita Falls. Greg had run, but he wasn't hiding well. And this time, I wasn't going to let him disappear again. We had everything we needed. Proof of Greg's lies, stolen funds, forged posts, fake harassment claims, and now, his attempt to flee. The DA issued a warrant, and within 48 hours, state police picked Greg up in Wichita Falls, sitting alone in his rusted-out RV, drunk and belligerent. He screamed when they cuffed him, called it all a setup, said I was the one stalking him. But this time, no one believed him. He was charged with felony defamation, online harassment, elder financial abuse, filing a false police report, criminal mischief, violating a restraining order. He was denied bail due to flight risk. At the civil trial, Susan walked the jury through every detail. The video evidence, the planted envelope, the fake accounts. Donnie testified, his hands shaking the whole time, about the pressure Greg put on him to lie. About how Greg isolated him, took his money, controlled his every move. Lorraine backed it up with financial records and her own story of being targeted. But the moment that changed everything? We played the doorbell cam video of Greg slipping the envelope under my mat. In total silence, the jury watched him creep up like a coward, then scurry away like he'd done something clever. You could hear a pin drop. Greg sat there red-faced, his attorney quiet beside him. No cross-examination. Nothing to say. The verdict came fast, guilty on all counts. In the criminal trial, Greg was sentenced to 9 years in prison. He'll serve a minimum of 6. He was ordered to pay restitution to Donnie. Over $130,000, which will come from the sale of Greg's RV, his remaining bank assets, and garnished future wages. I got $50,000 for damages, plus all my legal fees covered. More than the money, though, it was the public unmasking that satisfied me. Everyone in the neighborhood knew the truth now. My job reinstated me with a public statement. My boss personally apologized. Local news even ran a piece, man framed by neighbor cleared by doorbell cam. As for Donnie, I helped him connect with a legal aid group that placed him under the protection of a professional fiduciary. He's safe now, free from Greg. He even came by last Christmas, rolled up with a plate of cookies. We sat on my porch, mine, not his, and just talked. Like real neighbors. Greg? He's in a prison an hour east of Dallas. Last I heard, he's not doing well. Got jumped after mouthing off to the wrong person. No one visits him. Not even Lorraine. And me? I'm better. Wiser. And I'll never ignore my instincts again. Because sometimes, the people who scream the loudest about being victims are just bullies who finally got caught. And I made sure Greg never gets to hurt anyone like that again.